Hello, welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection. I'm your co-host, Jimmy Qualls, and with me as always, a resident football expert, Tate Mathews. Tate, I need some type of suggestions or opinions this week because I'm down right now. You know me, I take pride in our out-of-conference record last year, 65-14. Week 1 of the 2017 season, we go 0-3. So, give me some help. Give me something in your crystal ball that says we're going to be okay.
Well, I would say this. First of all, if you're looking for expert, you're in trouble. You probably should have brought in somebody else. But this is what I think. You got to remember, it's week 1, man. I mean, last 2 years have been a really special deal, but it's week 1. We played some pretty tough out-of-conference. We played one really tough out-of-conference opponent, and that was Oakland with Independence. And we forget because they've won so many games. Independence is replacing a lot of big-time players, man. I mean, they're replacing the leaders and the core of the defense, almost the whole front seven. They're replacing some offensive linemen. So here's the great thing. Everybody knows this. If you're going to play a Williamson County team that's rebuilding and Independence, you want to play them early. You don't want to play them week 9, 10 playoffs. Coach Blade will have that Independence Eagle team ready, and look at Summit last year. They lose to Spring Hill last year, but they got better and better and better as the year goes on. Look at the turnaround Brentwood made last year. That's what we do. So, I wish we had gone 3-0 last Friday night? Yes, but I'm not down about it.
That's a great point. I already feel better. See, that's why I asked you. In the education business, when we look at stuff, when the kids are crazy on the week of, it's full moon. It's full moon. Well, we have the big, huge eclipse happening this week. Right. So I'm thinking the eclipse has got something going on here. The water, the tide's too high. Something's going on. But that's a great point. Something I haven't thought about. Spring Hill last year. The Brentwood situation where they start off 0-1.
I mean, we were talking about Brentwood not even making the playoffs. I think I'm safe in this. Coach Crawford told both of us.
Mr. Producer, check on that because that's going to make me feel better. I think you're right.
That Rossview game, he said that was the worst loss of his coaching career. He was the head coach of Coffee County for a year.
You know what? See, I completely forgot all those. Now that we rehashed last year, we start looking at Rossview. Do you remember Coach Crawford coming in here on the coach's preview show?
I was
after
but
that loss.
He was down, man.
Down worse than ever.
But what did he do? He showed up to work. The sun came up. They kept getting better and better. Coach Finch, first-year offense coordinator, Shacklet and Dreyer, they didn't know what they were going to do. And right about after that Rossview game is when it all clicked, and they went on a tear. And we talk about it every week. I know everybody's tired of hearing about it. They were one possession away from going to the state championship game.
That's correct. All right, let's get to it. Last week, week 1, has some big surprises and some thoughts here. Let's start right now with the big game of the night, WCTV game of the week. Brentwood at Franklin. Huge crowd, old rivalry, the biggest, oldest rivalry, if you will, in WCS because of the ages of the schools. Brentwood comes out on top 14-10. I think it says two things. Two things happen here. One is we knew that Brentwood's pretty good. So it was a little surprising when we saw the score because I thought the spread would be a little bit more. So obviously Coach Donnie Webb and the Rebels are better than what than advertised.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, and I think that shame on the people that didn't think they were going to be. I mean they have some really talented guys. It's just different. A lot of their talents in the offensive line, and then Coach Webb. Anybody who knows anything about him, he's going to leave no stone unturned. So. They were ready, had a good game plan. But the other thing, too, is Brentwood. So it's anytime you can get a win over Franklin and you're Brentwood, you got to be happy about that. And they were close to kicking that thing open. So there were a couple of plays there. Had they happened, this thing's not 14-10. So, both of them can kind of take some positives and some negatives out of it. One thing that I think was very exciting about Franklin, we kind of alluded to it, Davis Whitehurst. Everybody was wondering who's going to be their big-time player. Nobody really knew about him. They know about him now. 97-yard or 87-yard touchdown in the second quarter. Cut that thing to get them on the board. He ended up with 96 yards. That's 9.6 yards per carry. He had 10 carries. So now 87 of them came on one thing. But that's something they haven't really had. Their big play last year was with Gacka in the passing game. Mitch Rossi was a heck of a running back that is tough to replace, but he wasn't that kind of guy. This is a guy kind of like Ty Carter for Summit. If you give him a seam, he's gone. That's nice, especially with that big offensive line.
Well, it's going to help alleviate some of the pressure off of Carson Shacklet because I think, Shacklet, we've seen him for 2 years now in that position. Know he's going to be pretty good. And that brings us to the play of the week. Carson Shacklet on a pass to Parker Bullion.
So a lot of D1 talent out there tonight. As you see, Shacklet is back to pass, wants to go over the middle. He's got his man.
Wide open.
Wide open.
Yep.
Is number 2. That is Parker Bullion.
Yep.
Franklin bit on the play action. And a 34-yard touchdown.
And the young secondary got kind of exposed right there as it just couldn't got any easier for Bullion. I don't think there was anybody around him for about 15 yards.
Bullion couldn't believe he was so wide open. He just kind of strolled into the end zone.
Well, there's the replay, and if we can, yep, Bullion was just like, what? That was too easy.
Too easy.
Now, as you see right there, you allude to as we watch this clip, it may have been busted coverage, but we kind of expected this type of hookup between Shacklet and Bullion all year long. Bullion's starting to get a little bit of notoriety, if you will, from the college recruiting. The stars are going up. I think he's maybe from a 2-star to a 3-star, getting some looks. So this is probably not the last time we're going to see that all year long.
Yeah, it was definitely busted. Somebody went to the wrong place. But, sometimes that's hard, kind of like when you're so wide open, the pressure gets to you. Great pass by Carson Shacklet. Bullion caught it, goes in the end zone. Bullion had 95 receiving yards. And a touchdown, obviously, we just saw. So he is. There's been a lot of good wide receivers at Brentwood High. I think Parker's faster than a lot of them. He, just like we were talking about with Whitehurst, with Franklin, he kind of gives them a different dimension that they haven't always had there. And as we know, Shacklet from last year, it's his quarterback job now, right? He's the quarterback. 135 yards passing, didn't get him beat in a tough game. So, he did what they had to do to win, and I know Coach Crawford is very happy about it. He'll take it.
That's in week 1 to get a win over Franklin anytime.
That's right.
Obviously.
And
both
as
these
we
teams
talked
are not
about,
finished.
That's right.
By any stretch of the imagination, we're going to probably get a good chance of seeing them again at some point in time in the playoffs. Both are getting in automatically. It's just, these two teams are going to really fight it out for, we really thought for first through third, if you throw Indy in the mix of that group. You never know with Centennial as well. You never know with Ravenwood. I think any given night, then anybody can win. But I think right now Brentwood has the edge. I think Brentwood is the favorite in Region 6-6A.
Oh, I think without a doubt, because when we're looking at the beginning of the year, you're probably thinking Brentwood, Independence, and Franklin. Well, here we are going into week 2. Brentwood is 1-0. The other two are 0-2.
Yep.
0-1.
And that moves us on to another Region 6-6A game. Coach Kreisky, Centennial Cougars keep their winning ways over Matt Daniels. Spoil Matt Daniels in his first head coaching slot at Ravenwood in his first game, 26-23. I can't say enough about Coach Daniel and his group. I really, really think before this thing's over that group is going to be – they're young. They're looking for 2 years down the road. They're really thinking a year, 2 years down the road, they're going to be really, really good. There's a lot of sophomores playing in this group right now. A lot of good things could come out of this game. 26-23. Coach Kreisky keeps winning.
Yeah. So from the Ravenwood point of view, Coach Daniels brought the excitement back. There's no doubt about it. We've kind of seen some signs of that in the preseason that we thought this was going to happen, and he has done a great job of bringing excitement and enthusiasm back to the program. They busted out the black jerseys. The kids didn't know about it. They found out about it on Friday. It goes all the way. I'll give you a little nugget. The only Williamson County victory over Brentwood Academy in football was Ravenwood over Brentwood Academy. That was when Brian Rector was still there. Before the game, they bust out the black jerseys. So anyways, the black jerseys almost helped them again Friday night, but had a chance to win too. That was the neat thing. They came up short, but they had a chance to win. Nick Stalkup, as we know at the quarterback, he can do he can run the ball and throw the ball, and he did a lot of good things, and he's got some things to work on too. They had a block kick on the special teams. So a lot of things they can be proud of there. He's going to get them better, I think, without a doubt. Centennial-wise, started off slow, but they got it fixed and were able to get the win. So I know Coach Kreisky's not excited about the slow start, but they came back. Here's what stood out to me. In the second half, they rushed for 226 yards alone. In the second half, they got the win. We know they're going to have to be able to run the ball, and they did it with the three-headed monster now. Xavier Pickens has really become a heck of a player. I didn't know about him until the Jamboree. We kept going, who's that 31 running all? So with Jariel Wilson, Trey Carlton, and then Xavier 226 yards in the second half. That's what they're going to have to do to win. They did that. They also had a special teams touchdown. Jariel recovered a fumble on a bad snap on a punt. He also got a touchdown in the running game. So a lot of things they both have to work on, but there were some things, especially for Centennial because of the win, that they can come out of it positive.
Well, the good news for Centennial is this. I think that we've all kind of thought this going along through this process. Now, Centennial may show us differently and go all the way and win Region 6-6A, but this game was so huge for them too because I really thought this could be a fourth place matchup, looking for that fourth slot to get in playoffs. Week 1, you lose that game, or if you win that game, you got to feel pretty good, but you still have so much work left to do in Region 6-6A. You know, you can get all the way there, and then if you get beat by Dixon, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of the media outlets have Dixon picked to possibly beat. Matter of fact, I saw one the other day. Had Dixon fourth place.
I disagree.
And I do too. But I'm just saying.
Strongly.
Yeah, I might, you know, it's.
And I like those guys.
It's par for the course. But, yeah, everybody's playing for third and fourth.
Well,
anyways,
and we forget, you know, Ravenwood's breaking in a new head coach, third head coach in 3 years. Centennial, we forget, man. They lost Centurion DeRoe, Waddell,
Nick Bell.
Chrisman. All right, that's just in the back. Their whole defensive backfield's new. They lost Nick Bell, Clay Carter. I mean, they are filling a lot of big shoes. So, and then I'll tell you another thing. They had a 98-play touchdown drive. That doesn't happen very much in any kind of football. So a lot of positives to come out of it. Obviously, here's another thing that I would like. We saw them in the Jamboree versus Nolensville. Didn't look real good, right? So they already got better from week 0, I guess we'll call it, to week 1. So, but again, they're 1-0.
So the Cougars outlast the Raptors 26-23. Next game, Independence at Oakland. We knew it was going to be a tall task. Everybody's curious about the new Eagles, what they're going to look like. We've got 2 SEC out there, receivers out there. You've got Troy in the backfield. What's going to happen? Nathan Cisco, new quarterback, third quarterback in a row, going for the 3,000 mark, 30-46. Now, we knew Oakland was pretty good, but maybe not that good.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive win. I don't care how many guys are new on the starting lineup for Independence, but I figured Oakland was pretty good. I didn't know they were that good. So I would like to see this game later on in the year, kind of like we were talking about at the beginning. But they're big, they're strong, they're physical, they can run the football, and they came out and got after them. I mean, there's really no other way to say that. But probably of anybody not probably, unless Brentwood, but of anybody in the week 1, that was the toughest opponent that anybody faced. So, but some positives came out of it, and Cisco, he was still over 200 yards. So, some things had to go well in the passing game there. I tell you the thing that jumps out to me, Isaiah Collier. He had a touchdown reception in the Jamboree. He had a touchdown reception the other night. And so, obviously we know about T.J. Sheffield and Kendrell Scurry, but he's emerging as another guy. And as we know, you got to have more than 2. So I think that's exciting. He's obviously a young guy who can make some plays. But they'll keep getting better, and it's the same kind of story. Hunter Dupree's gone. Dempke's gone. Those guys played a lot of snaps on defense. They were the heart and soul of that defense, won a lot of games, and going up against a team that can really run the ball. The Timmy Goodrich, the quarterback, had over 120 rushing yards for Oakland, 2 touchdowns, and he alternated every snap. So they're a pretty good football team. So right now, what's the biggest gap that he's got to fill? You spoke about Dempke and those guys. That's on the defensive side. Offensive line, are they holding for Cisco? Or are the pressure getting to Cisco as far as the defensive line from the other teams? Or is it something they're going to have to do, fill the gaps on defense? I mean, obviously, 34 points. I think 6 points could be the lowest point total in the Scott Blade era for Independence. I'm glad you said that. This amazed me. And so this is a compliment. You get spoiled. This shows you how good they've been. It's the first time they've been held under 10 points since 2014. So, I mean, been pretty spoiled over there. But, I don't know. I didn't see it. Obviously in the running game, when you're replacing that many offensive linemen, that's tough. So much of what he does in the passing game is a timing route. They're in the gun, and you know that ball's coming out before they even make the break. They're almost throwing to a spot, not to the receiver. You see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I would think that's a big part of it. We got to shore up the offensive line, and we're breaking in a new quarterback. So as he gets better, the offense will get better.
And
he threw for over 200 yards.
And it's pretty hard to come in. There you go. He's 200 yards. But you're coming into the game, first start, and you're playing Murfreesboro, Oakland,
Right.
who was in the 6A state runner-up last year, perennial powerhouse. It's not an easy game. And who'd you play the week before? Blackman. Blackman,
yeah, right.
Who's
yeah.
probably the 6A favorite to win it all.
Well,
So,
after last Friday night, they are the 6A favorite. Hey, but that's what I'm saying about Collier. I mean, he's got two. We hear about the other two, but he's got 2 touchdown passes against maybe the 1 and 2 ranked teams in 6A right now. And that leads me to another thing that kind of got under my skin a little bit. I'm getting tired of Independence, a rude awakening to 6A. You know, just because they've been in 5A,
But
okay?
they've been playing a 6A schedule.
But we all know 2 years ago they'd have beat anybody in the state. So
Anybody.
I don't want to hear that.
Right.
That they're how are they gonna react to being in 6A? 2 years ago they'd have beat anybody in the state.
I think
I feel better now.
Mr. Producer, I think the clips have swapped roles for us because that's usually me complaining on that
Right.
and Tate saying that, but whatever. Big night, Nolensville Knights, first real game at home, Fayetteville. Man, almost pulled off a big-time win. They lost 27-26, but they spotted them 21-0 off the bat.
21-0. So you're not happy about the loss. I knew it was good. I just knew they were going to win. I was so ready for it, but you know, they're still young. We kind of the other thing you forget. You know, they're juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. Not an excuse. So the positive I would take away from it is you spotted them 21 points in the first quarter, and you lost by 1 and had a chance to win it. So they fought back. A lot of good things happened, but I think the first, they had that varsity game last year against South Green, but it really wasn't. I think the first time under the lights for real kind of took a little getting adjusted to, but as we saw in the second half, they really got it going.
Well, 99% of your team cannot drive a vehicle.
Right.
I mean, and you come out against a team that went, I think, 9-3 last year, had a good season, Fayetteville.
And had a running back that everybody has a hard time tackling, and they had a hard time tackling him.
And, they just got to get some things, I think defensively, that's what we saw at the Jamboree. Defensively, they got to get some things figured out. I'm not sure that Colton Dooley was 100%. I think he was a little banged up. First game, Brandon Wright, young quarterback, junior, who's going to be
Wharton.
Excuse me, what did I say?
Right.
Brandon
Wright. Yeah, right.
Brandon Wright, excuse me. Wrong school.
Easy.
Yeah, Eclipse. Brandon Wharton, is going to be a super special player.
Right.
And here he is coming in the first game. Got to learn some things. Got to learn when to throw it, when not to throw it. There was a late interception. If you watch that game tape, you get smarter as you go along. You know when to throw it, when not to throw it on pressure. But I know that Coach Hester really wanted to win this game, and I know that me and you wanted to,
right.
Wanted him to win it as well. But how long will it be before the monkey gets off their back?
Well, they have Page next week, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Page is a good football team, but I wouldn't count them out. They have a chance. It's going to be quicker than we think. They like I said, there were a lot of positives. If you spot them 14 points, we're probably talking about the first win
right.
of varsity play. So Zach Campbell, 90-yard kickoff return. That's exciting. Wesley Jones had 2 TDs. So it's going to come quicker than we think. I just don't know if it's going to come this week.
Well, you think once they get that win, the dam will break, water's going. It's going to be hard to stop them. That's what we'd like to think, right? So it'll be a fun time once they get to that.
Without a doubt. And from what we hear, the crowd was great.
Well, it's
the whole town was there.
Right, and you can imagine the atmosphere and the electricity in the air as they're making that comeback.
Right.
Have the ball with about 3 minutes to go with a chance to go up and take the lead for the first night of the game. You can imagine what that place was like.
You were a coach. Sometimes you learn more from your mistakes and your failures than you do your successes. So they'll be better for it.
Very poignant. Thank you for reminding me of that. Summit Spring Hill, Battle of the Hill did not end up in Coach Coleman and Old Sparty's favor. This is one of those humps, man. You hate to be cliche like Battle of the Hill. We can't get over the hump of the hill because, if I'm not mistaken, since Summit has been open, Summit has never beaten Spring Hill.
I think they beat them once.
Did they beat them?
I think, yeah. I'll have to go back and look at that. But I think they
Maybe
won
they did 2
within
years
the last
ago.
3 years. Yeah, I think
Maybe
they're
they did
1
2
and
years
2
ago.
the last
You're
3
right,
years.
you're right.
So.
But
But still, it's tough.
here it is, 21-20. Once again, you lead the whole game. You give up a couple possessions there late, 21-20. Ty Carter, 115 yards, 2 passing attempts, both of them connected for touchdowns. How about that? Halfback
It's
passes.
amazing.
So what does Old Sparty have to do?
Same thing you did last year. You watch the film, you take coaching, all right? Don't have your head down. Oh, the coach is picking on me. He's not picking on you. He's trying to make you better and get better like you did last year. But this one stings, man, because it's one that they obviously could have won, and that's where you hear people talk about special teams all the time, and right there, a missed extra point, and maybe you're going to overtime to see what happens. So. And I don't know what happened on that. It happens, but that's why it's so important, because something like this can come back and get you. But the positives, Ty, the two running backs we knew were going to put on a good show, and they both did. Ty Carter with 115 yards. Here's what I would like to see that amazes me, because I think didn't he have about 7 touchdown passes last year on this halfback pass? They were both halfback passes. He's 2 for 2, 50-something yards. 2 touchdowns, and they keep hitting them with it. That they must really be executing that well. So all you can do is do what you did last year. Learn from it. And Spring Hill's a good football team. They got one of the best running backs in the state. Dante went for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Jay Emmons is a good coach. So let's not act like we didn't get beat by a good football team.
Right.
The sad thing is we had a chance to beat them.
There's a lot of people thinking they're going to make some noise in that region that they're in right now. So you made a great point. Summit lost last year, first game of the year, and they end up running off a big-time wins. Let's look at their schedule real quick. You got Spring Hill, then they have to play Independence. Now, this makes week 2 awful interesting for the border battle. We got game day down there. They've never beaten Independence before. Something in the air makes right now Old Sparty's thinking, hey, we've got a legitimate shot this year of beating Independence. And to think that Independence would start 0-2 with their first loss ever in school history to Summit would be interesting.
Well, and I can't remember the last time they lost 2 games in a row, too. So, but this is big.
Well, they've lost 2 in a row if you want to go back to last year. That doesn't really necessarily count.
Different team.
Right. So, Old Sparty loses to Spring Hill 21-20. It brings us to the last game of the evening, the Battle of 840. Always a fun little game, atmosphere out there in Fairview. Let me tell you something. This is what I took away. I think both those teams are really, really good football teams, better than I ever expected them to be. Specifically, Page. Page is going to make some noise in that 5A group. Now, I don't know the rest of the caliber of the teams in that region, but I'm telling you right now, they got good size. Van Laningham's a good quarterback. Bubba Johnson is a dude.
He's a dude.
Will Pierce is a dude. Burdick out
Burdick's
there,
a dude.
great player. What a great asset he is for that team as well. Not only just on the offensive side of the ball, obviously defensive. He has 3 picks, 2 of them for pick sixes. Now you want to talk about a record night? That's a career night right there.
Oh, without a doubt. You look at all the great performances of Friday night. I don't know how anybody did what he did better than he did. 3 interceptions, 2 of them for touchdowns. That's unbelievable. I mean, that's a great. One of them was an 88-yarder. He had over 121. He had more yards in interception return yards than anybody else did rushing or passing, unless Van Lanningham had more than 121 passing. I'm not sure about that. But
well, he would have had more. They had 1 pass dropped in the end zone early in the first half that could have really separated. But it was one of those games, it's back and forth. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I really thought Fairview's going to win this game, and I'll tell you why. It was 20-14. Page botched an extra point. Forever. Back and forth. Interceptions, fumbles, interception, back, forth. And I thought Fairview had the ball with 3 minutes to go, and I thought right here, just the way the game had been going, that Fairview was going to play spoiler at the end, go down, score, make it 21-20, have one of those games.
Right.
Michael Burdick had something different in his mind. Lusk rolls out, throws the pass, and of course Burdick interception and goes all the way for the pick 6. So it separates at 28-14. But I think Coach Rathbone and the Patriots are going to really, really be better than maybe expected for a lot of people, and they're going to make some noise in that Region 5A group.
Oh, I think so too. And if they can stay healthy, I think they definitely will. But you mentioned, look at you passing. I think they've got a really good quarterback in Van Lanningham. Will Pierce had over 100 yards receiving on 3 catches and a touchdown. Bubba Johnson, we already talked about, he had over 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. And then Michael Burdick, I mean, what a playmaker. You know, that you don't just – you luck into one of them, you don't luck into 3 of them. Here's the thing, if you're Fairview, it makes you sick, but it also – there's a lot of positive. They outgained them. It's exactly what you were talking about. They outgained them 407 yards to 213.
I think that
take away the pick sixes, and they're probably 1-0.
Yeah, I think Fairview's going to be fine. I think Page is going to be fine. Both those teams are on the way, a good path. Columbia, Franklin County, Lincoln County, Shelbyville Summit, White County. I think Shelbyville Summit will be a good test for them, a real good test for Page. Don't know that they can win it. We'll talk about that later down the year, but I think they can win those other games, and get themselves in a position for playoffs. I think they're in the playoffs for this group. They look good. I hope that they keep going on the straight and narrow. All right, here we go. Week 2 coming up real quick. We got 3 minutes. We got to roll fast. Centennial 1-0 at Hendersonville. Hendersonville did lose last week, but they lost to Blackman 63-28. What do you think?
Centennial you can score points on them. They're going to have to. Hendersonville probably lost their best running back, so not a gimme, but a game they can win.
It will not be an easy game, I agree with you. Brentwood 1-0 at Cane Ridge 1-0. This could be the best game in the state.
This one scares me. Brentwood is really good, but I think Cane Ridge is too. They got a lot of speed.
Cane Ridge is currently ranked 5th in the polls. Brentwood's ranked 6th. They did beat Marshall County last week 27-20. Franklin 0-1 at Riverdale, who's 1-0 beat East Nashville 49-14. So far, Franklin has owned Riverdale since they've been playing them the last couple of years. Can they continue?
They can, but Riverdale's better. Quarterback has really had a really big week 1. So I'm excited to see Davis Whitehurst more on display on offense.
Independence 0-1 at Summit, 0-1 the border battle. This is going to be heavily attended. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. Can Old Sparta get over the hump?
Sure they can, but they're going to have to run the ball and take care of the ball. But they played them tight the past 2 years.
Ravenwood at hosting Siegel. Coach Matt Daniels will get his first victory there. I'm going to go ahead and go on. Page versus Nolensville.
Big game.
Big game for both programs. Fairview at White House Heritage. I think Fairview gets in the winning column there. We do have some errors, Mr. Producer. What are some of our errors today?
Let's see. We have one big error today. Tate with the 98 play drive for Centennial versus Ravenwood. I think if it 98 yards, I think it'd be a world record otherwise.
98 plays.
Yeah.
98 plays.
98 plays for a touchdown. That's 98 yards. Thank you, Mr. Producer. We're going to do that more frequently now for our errors. Now, big week 2. I'm 1-5. You're 4-2. I got to catch up. So we'll see who catches up next week on our records on Sports Connection. Happy Eclipse Week. We'll see you next time.
Bricks. Sturdy, heavy, hard, smooth, rough, narrow, wide, ignored as ordinary, yet formed with ancient skills. Bricks offer security without aggression. White to black, rose to cream to gray, touches of purple, magenta, vermilion. The history and moods of earth are revealed by their presence. Used for strength, yet brittle, bricks shed chips when tumbled, but last centuries stacked tightly. They stand steady, offer the pleasures of earth, a sense of time, rarely intrude, simply wait for the observer's eye.